But Rocky, I think I'm just going to wait until the beginning of the year. I think I'm just going to wait until next month. I really need to see how the next 30 days plays out in order for me to, these are the kind of statements that leaders and CEOs give me all the time about taking the initiative to begin to actually change their life. It's always some future date about what you think is going to happen. You want to test the waters. You want to see what could be or what might be. Yet the fact that you're on the phone with someone looking to create difference and change in your life, my question to you is, why are you waiting? And what are you waiting for? You have already determined that you need help. You've already determined you don't want to do it alone. You have already determined you want to believe the saying that we are better together, yet consistently you are waiting for something to happen that you cannot identify to give you the gusto to make a decision to actually create change. What are you waiting for? Welcome to the Rocky Garza Show, where we explore the collision of a deeply meaningful life and a wildly impactful career. I'm your host, Rocky Garza, and with over a decade of experience as a coach, consultant, and keynote speaker to many Fortune 500 companies, I'm here to share personal stories and expert advice to help you gain clarity, build confidence, and discover that you too can build the life you actually want. Whether you're a high achiever looking for a more full life or a leader striving for professional success with purpose, this podcast was designed with you in mind. Welcome to the Rocky Garza Show. My name is Rocky Garza, and I'm so glad you took some time to be with us today. As always, if you haven't, we would love to show you what we are up to. And so before we get in today to talking about the waiting game, I would encourage you to go over to rockygarza.com/beyond success, and you can check out our very next event we have going on that we would love to have you be a part of, and we would love to have you join us. And again, that's rockygarza.com/beyond success. What I want to get today is, what are you waiting for? It is this reoccurring theme I am finding lately over the course of the last 3 to 6 months as I'm talking to CEOs, I'm talking to executive leaders, I'm talking to business owners. This resounding thought of, well, I'm just going to wait. I just want to wait and see. Now, to some regard, I understand waiting to cross the street is a good idea. Waiting for the bus is a good idea. I understand that waiting for your spouse to get there for date night is a good idea. I understand that waiting before you flip your lid and get mad and angry about something at the end of the day may or may not actually be worth getting angry about. All those are great ideas when it comes to waiting. But my question to you is, why do we tend to wait when it comes to making a decision to make our life better when we know the reality of what it is that we want and what we want to do and where we know we believe we need change, yet we consistently wait? My question for us is, what are we waiting on? What are we hoping is we're going to find out? Are we hoping that if we wait long enough, we'll realize that we don't need help? Are we hoping that if we wait long enough that maybe somehow we'll realize that the answer will actually magically come to us and, hey, you know what? We may not need anybody's help after all. See, a recurring question that I find and pose to many of my clients is, why is it so difficult to ask for help? What do you believe is being believed about you when you ask for help? What do you believe that someone is doing or saying or thinking about you behind your back when you have to ask for help? Where did it come from in our lives that we were told and believed that we shouldn't need help? We should be able to do it by ourselves. We should actually be totally self-sustaining, totally self-fulfilling. We don't need anyone around us. And actually, if we did need help, asking for help is really just a weakness. Those folks who could really do it all by themselves. The folks who could really do it really don't need anyone at all. See, but if we take a step back and really begin to look at even where we got to where we are today, you didn't get there by yourself. You didn't build this company by yourself. You didn't close every deal by yourself. You didn't manage all the operations by yourself. You didn't build incredible or terrible relationships by yourself. Hint on the fact, relationship. You didn't get in great shape by yourself. You didn't find yourself out of shape by yourself. You did not get in a position financially by yourself, and you did not create the kind of wealth you have by yourself. And so when it comes to creating a different change in our life, why do you consistently believe that you must do it by yourself when the reality is you didn't get to where you are by yourself? What is it that is driving that in you? What is preventing you from asking for help? Because I think if we could really get into that, that would greater determine and greater define for us when it comes to what are we waiting for. See, I think our waiting is this idea that if we hold tight, if we keep the same place, if we just don't make a move, then there will be a solution that shows itself, so I didn't in fact need to ask anybody else. If I could just think about it a little bit longer. Now, I want to be clear. I'm not saying that you waiting means that it's always a problem, and you waiting means that you can't solve it, and you waiting means that there is not an answer. That would be foolish. I actually believe there is a way that you could wait long enough, and at some point, something will show itself. Either whatever the problem is will go away, the problem will rear its ugly head, and you'll be forced to face it on the day you were ill prepared to face it. Or could you condense time by asking for help? The amount of work that clients and I can get done together in a 1 hour weekly meeting is astronomical because there's no ulterior motive or agenda other than your growth. Where in your life do you have, and we're just going to select a time, an hour? Where in your life do you have an hour of time dedicated to nothing but your growth? No answers needed on your part. Nothing for you to theoretically do or solve or fix. Just simply a place for you to show up and ask for help. We've got a client right now in the creative space. Exactly 1 year ago, she started working with me. She had a business that she's had for over a decade. It sort of plateaued at the same revenue level and sort of the same clientele, and really nothing had changed over the last 4 or 5 or 6 years. It had sort of just maintained and stayed the same. And she came to me and she said, Rocky, I need something different and I need help, but I'm not sure what. See, I tell you this story, and we'll get to the good part of the story in a moment. I tell you this story because I think that moment right there, that moment of clarity was really profound. The moment where you are willing to recognize that you may in fact need help is an immensely clarifying moment. And oftentimes is the single thing needed in order for you to find the catalytic change in your life you are looking for, oftentimes comes right after a moment of clarity. And you being able to vocalize and share, I need help. That, my friend, is a moment of clarity. Because clearly your brain is saying, I know I am better together with someone rather than continuing to fight by myself. So this client had this moment where she said, I'm going to need help. Rocky, I need help. And I said, where do you want to go? She said, I'm unsure, but I know I want to be someplace different. 1 year later, her relationships in her life are dramatically different. Her revenue is up 111%. She has a greater pipeline for the next 12 months than she's ever had before. She has new team members who she's delegating work to. She has contracted people that are on her team that are taking tasks off her plate. She was recently at the largest trade show event for creatives and event spaces in Las Vegas 2 weeks ago. She came back. She was there for 24 hours. She made 3 connections, all that will lead to substantial revenue this year. She said it was so overwhelming, but it was so comforting. I said, what do you mean? I said, tell me about that. What are you talking about? She said, when I realized I needed to ask for help, we made an entire plan about her to get there and what to do and how to communicate about herself. But I said, what was the most significant thing about being there? And she looked me in the face with tears in her eyes and she said, Rocky, for the first time in my career, it's been almost 2 decades, I walked into a room of other professionals, and for the first time, I believed I belonged there. I said, what do you feel like led to that thought? She said, I feel like I belong there because I've spent the last year not waiting, but finally taking action on the areas that I knew I needed to. And because of that, my entire life is different. What is an area of your life that you want to be different today? Pick one. Personal, professional, financial, health, spiritual, emotional, relational, familial, relationship with yourself. Where do you want your life to be different? See, this is why we utilize the EPS Matrix for all of our clients. It's because it gives us a basis and a snapshot for where we are. It gives us a snapshot to be able to see where are you today? What is your snapshot of success? And where do you sort of see yourself in each of these areas? The reason we utilize the EPS Matrix is because it allows someone like you to be able to say, where do you need help? Where do you want change? Why are you waiting? What are you waiting for? The catalytic moment that you are longing to have in your life comes right on the other side of clarity. And maybe for you, the clarity you're looking for is the realization that it's time for you to ask for help. So appreciate you. So appreciate you being a part of the podcast with us today. Again, if you haven't yet, we'd love for you to go to rockygarza.com/beyond success. Check out what we're up to. Grab a ticket to our next virtual event. We would love to have you there. No cost to you. We'd love to see you there. And again, I want to encourage you and challenge you. Ask yourself today, what are you waiting for? And is today the day that you're willing to ask for help? As always, let's keep going.